Hello everyone and welcome back to the latest episode of Miami Total Football. It's the day after Week 5 came to a close in MLS, and for Inter Miami it ended on a positive note. Inter Miami went into the brand new and shiny and lovely TQL Stadium in Cincinnati and beat FC Cincinnati by a 3-2 score. Now, Brek Shea and Gonzalo Higuain got things started for Inter Miami in the first half with a pair of goals. That gave Inter Miami a 2-0 lead going into halftime, but FC Cincinnati rallied back and they pulled even. They made it 2-2 late in the second half, and it looked like Inter Miami was going to have to settle for a disappointing draw, but Gonzalo Higuain stepped up and scored his second of the day, finishing off a play inside the penalty area and giving Inter Miami a late lead that it would hold on to. So for Inter Miami, that moved them up into 7th place in the Eastern Conference. They have now picked up 4 points from their last 3 games over the course of this busy week. So not a terrible haul, not the best haul, but not a terrible haul for Inter Miami. And it's especially good news because Gonzalo Higuain has gotten going again. He's found the back of the net again, and these 2 goals were not only his 3rd and 4th of the season, but they were his first in MLS from the run of play. The first one comes in the 38th minute off a great back heel from his brother Federico, who got the start at the 10th spot in place of Rodolfo Pizarro. We'll talk about that a little more in a little bit. But Higuain then does his craftiness on the ball and finishes with a good slotted effort to the near post. Of course, he also scores the winner, and that's a big boost for Inter Miami and a big boost for him because Phil Neville and Gonzalo Higuain talked about how the striker was struggling in recent weeks after the passing of his mother.
Gonzalo, he's been suffering. You know, if you've lost a parent, and I have, he's been suffering. I think you saw that in the last couple of games. It's easy to have a look. It's easy to criticise professional footballers for their performance on the field without understanding what is going on in their personal life, what's going on in their mental state. And when you lose someone as important as what the mother was to Gonzalo and Federico, you know, people handle it in different ways, and he's been emotionally struggling. His family's arrived in Miami today. That's given him a massive boost. And I spoke to him on Thursday and Friday about how to deal with losing a parent, you know, and you can as a manager, you've got to have these conversations. It's not about football. You've got to help a player.
Now, Gonzalo Higuain appears to have responded well to that conversation because not only did he score 2 goals in this one, but he also told Phil Neville prior to the match that he would do so, that he would bag a brace in each of the next 3 games. So he's beginning to make good on that promise, and for him, it has to be uplifting and definitely a welcome development because he had been going through a tough time, admittedly so, and you could see it even when he celebrated the goals. There was a dedication to his family, his wife, and his daughter. He put up an A and an L sign with his hand after each goal that he scored on Sunday, and that was a tribute to, again, his wife named Lara and his daughter named Alma. So for Higuain, it was maybe something that was needed for him just to be in a little bit of better spirits. You could see after the first goal how him and Federico celebrated it together. They combined for it, so a nice moment for them.
Igual siento todos los goles de la misma manera, son todos importantes. Ya sea de penal, de tiro libre o de jugada, valen un gol. Y si sirven para ganar, bienvenido sea. Pero sí, en esta situación que me tocó vivir, necesitaba hacer un buen partido, meter gol, que gane el equipo y por suerte salió una tarde redonda.
Now, if we're talking about just the game itself, Inter Miami improved in this one. Yes, they were playing the last place team in Major League Soccer, a team that's been a punching bag for much of its time in MLS, but you can only play the opponents you have in front of you, and in that regard, Inter Miami improved from what we saw in the ugly midweek loss to CF Montreal. A much more organized effort with an early goal from Brek Shea, who scored the opener in the 7th minute with a good outstretched kick off a cross from Gregori, who in my opinion had an unbelievable game, very impressive game. Might have been a little bit at fault for the equalizer because he just didn't attack the ball in his zone defending on the corner kick, but by and large he was very, very good in this one in my opinion. But again, overall, Inter Miami in that first half was much improved. Defensively, they held up fairly well. John McCarthy did have to make a couple of big saves, but again, this was the type of performance you did not see from Inter Miami at home on Wednesday. The second half, things changed a little bit. FC Cincinnati found a little bit more of the game, and they got a goal midway through the second half off of a good long diagonal ball that led to Barrial scoring with a floated effort over John McCarthy. FC Cincinnati had some life. They eventually pulled level, but Gonzalo Higuain came up with the goods. And one thing that we saw in this game was that Inter Miami, from the first minute, was looking to build out of the back. They would have Leandro Gonzalez Pires and Ryan Shawcross split inside the penalty area on goal kicks, and they would both be options to play it short for John McCarthy. They also have Blaise Matuidi drop in, Gregori at times, but more so Blaise Matuidi, to try to build out. And that's something Phil Neville talked about after the match.
We didn't change much in that centre midfield, but the one thing that we did change was the fact that we wanted the team to play the ball into midfield more, to play central more, to trust Blaise and to trust Gregory on the ball, two really good players. So for the last 3 days, you know, I said to him about, you have to play the ball. I don't care if there's somebody up there backsides, if they're marked. I want to trust us playing the ball centrally rather than play the ball wide. They were really, they wanted to press us wide and not through the middle. So I wanted us to play through the middle in central areas. And that's where I thought, you know, Gregory and Blaise at times in the first half really caused them problems. Blaise demanding the ball off his teammates was what I expect from a player of his quality. And that's what he gave us.
Now, that desire to have that build out helped Inter Miami tremendously in this one, because not only were they able to have the ball for spells of the game, long spells of the game, something they did not do in that first half against CF Montreal, but they created some chances and their goals off of that. Now, if you go back and look at the entire first Gonzalo Higuain goal, or the play that leads up to the first goal, they build out from the back to the front. They do get a bit fortunate with a 50-50 ball that is taken away from Lewis Morgan, and they pick it up. But the buildup is what is the key, because they were able to knock the ball around. Yes, they do it in pretty quick fashion. It's not very patient buildup, but they do it, and they build up well, and that's something we haven't seen much of from Inter Miami. I think a big part of it is Federico Higuain, who started as the 10. This was his first Inter Miami start. But again, stuff you haven't seen from Inter Miami for much of this season. Now, obviously, Federico Higuain as a playmaker, it's something I've said that we should have seen as of maybe even a few games ago, something that I know a lot of fans have been clamoring for as well. So it looks like, especially with this performance, that he might end up staying in that spot, at least in the short term, because Rodolfo Pizarro was the man benched in this one. He was the one that was removed from the lineup. He came into the game very late, and I think it's notable and it needs to be talked about, Phil Neville's reaction to Rodolfo Pizarro's miss in the 94th minute. The game was 3-2 in that time. Rodolfo Pizarro could have put it away, could have iced it. He had a good look inside the penalty area that was saved. But Phil Neville was irate. While most of his coaching staff and his technical staff on the bench put their hands up over their heads and lamented the miss, as you see, the disappointment or the disbelief that that save is made or that the ball doesn't go in, something you see pretty standard when coaches react to misses or saves. Phil Neville had a moment of rage. He looked like the Incredible Hulk in terms of how angry his expression was. And I think that's not coincidental. I think it's pretty clear now, at least to me, that Rodolfo Pizarro is in the doghouse and he's going to take some work to get out of there. Of course, after the game, once cooler heads prevailed, Phil Neville talked in a pleasant way about Pizarro and his standing in the group. But I think when you combine the fact that he was the one dropped, I think if you also add in the fact that he has not been performing well and that he has been struggling to make an impact, I think that all that combined with Neville's reaction shows where Rodolfo stands right now.
Fede's earned the right to play. I think it's as simple as that. And what I wanted from Rodolfo was the same kind of influence when he came off the bench as what Fede had in the previous 4 or 5 games. And I think you saw that from both of them. Fede, probably the first chance that Rodolfo has had in the season, when keeper makes an unbelievable save, when he nearly sticks in the back of the net. So, look, we've got a team of really good players. We've got a squad of good players. And, you know, regardless of who you are or what your standing is in the team, we send out the best team to win the game. Rodolfo is going to be a big player for us. I'm convinced of that. Sometimes you just probably need to be brought out the line to be put back in later on, a couple of games, maybe 1 or 2 games, when you can have more of effect. And ultimately, I think everyone on the call would agree, Federico Higuain has been probably one of our best players and deserved the chance to play today.
As for other individual performances in this one, I thought Breck Shea looked pretty good. I thought John McCarthy was solid. And again, I thought Gregori was up there for the man of the match. Obviously, I think I'd give it to Gonzalo Higuain for the 2 goals, but I think Gregori was right there along with maybe Breck Shea. If Inter Miami can get that on a more regular basis, I think that they'll be that much better in the center of the park, because I still think Blaise Matuidi, while he did improve in terms of his passing and his getting on the ball, still think he is a bit of a defensive liability. But that about does it for now. What did you think of Inter Miami's 3-2 victory over FC Cincinnati? Who impressed you? Were you impressed with the overall performance, or do you think just eking out a victory over the last place team is slightly concerning? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, let me know what you thought about Phil Neville's reaction to Rodolfo Pizarro's saved shot. Is it concerning for you? Does that mean that Rodolfo Pizarro is in the doghouse and going to have to work his way out of it? Or do you think it's just a normal reaction as part of the match? Of course, again, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll be back again this week with more content of Inter Miami as they gear up for their next game, a match on the road against the Chicago Fire. So stay tuned for that. And as always, we'll talk to you guys again soon.